She told me I was safe. She told me I was safe with her, that she'd never hurt me, that I was different, special, not like the rest. And I believed her. I believed her when she said she wasn't like the girls who play games. I believed her when she said I was the one she'd been waiting for. I believed her when she looked me in the eyes, just days after we met, and whispered, "I don't want anyone else." God, I wanted to believe. Her name was Ava. We met during our second semester of college, early spring. I'd just gotten out of a long relationship, one that drained every bit of self-worth I had. Ava felt like fresh air after drowning. She smiled differently, spoke softly. She didn't rush things, didn't try to impress. She just existed, like she knew she didn't need to be loud to be heard. I met her in the campus library. She asked if she could sit at my table. I said yes, without even looking up. "I like the way you highlight," she said. I glanced at her. Her hair was tucked behind one ear, a small freckle near her collarbone. She wasn't stunning in the typical sense, but the way she carried herself, that pulled you in. "What?" I asked. "Your notes," she smiled. "Color-coded. Detailed. You write like you care." I think I fell a little right then. We started studying together, then texting, then spending nights walking aimlessly through the city, pretending like we weren't falling for each other. And one night, after she told me about her last boyfriend, the one who cheated on her with her best friend, I asked, "How are you still so open? So kind?" She looked at me like I was missing something obvious. "Because I know what it's like to be broken," she said. "I'd never do that to someone." She kissed me that night, slow, like she was making a promise. And I believed her. God, I believed her. For months, it was good. Really good. She met my friends, who said she was different. She met my mom, who said, "Don't mess this up." She met every part of me, the anxious, overthinking, insecure parts, and held them like they were worth something. She told me I was safe, and I finally let my guard down. But here's what no one tells you. When someone makes you feel safe, they hold power over you. Because when they hurt you, it's not just betrayal, it's warfare. And Ava, she didn't just hurt me, she destroyed me. It started small, like all betrayals do. A weird glance at her phone when I walked into the room. A quick lock screen swipe before I could see. I didn't question it. Why would I? This was Ava, my safe place, my constant, the one person who made me feel like I wasn't too much. She laughed it off when I asked who Tyler was. "Oh, he's in my psych group. Total nerd. Harmless." I nodded. I trusted her. She stopped replying late at night. Said she was too tired, too busy. Study group, family stuff, headaches. I didn't want to be one of those guys, the ones who suffocate with suspicion. So I swallowed my doubts. Because when someone tells you over and over that they love you, you want to believe the best in them, even when it hurts. One night, we were watching a movie on my bed. Her phone buzzed. She didn't check it. Buzzed again. 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 Her jaw tensed every time. "You gonna check that?" I asked, trying to sound casual. She forced a laugh. "It's nothing. Just my brother being annoying." I believed her. Again. But that night, while she was in the bathroom, the screen lit up again. "Tyler Blackheart, you were incredible last night." My heart stopped. I stared at those 6 words like they'd been carved into my chest. "You were incredible last night." She said she was with her mom. She kissed me that morning. I didn't know what to do. I didn't touch her phone, didn't confront her, didn't even breathe. When she came back into the room, I smiled like nothing had happened. Because the moment you let yourself realize someone lied, you have to face everything that comes with it. And I wasn't ready. Not yet. The next few days were torture. I became hyper-aware of everything. Her laughs felt fake. Her touches felt lighter. The way she looked away when she said, "I love you," it felt off. I kept remembering the way she told me I was safe, that she wouldn't hurt me, that she wasn't like the others. It broke something inside me, a slow, quiet fracture I couldn't explain to anyone. And then, finally, one night, I did what I never thought I'd do. I went through her phone. She was asleep beside me, breathing soft, peaceful. I hated myself for even thinking about it, but my hands moved anyway. Unlock code 0624. Her birthday. The messages were there. Tyler wasn't just a psych classmate. He wasn't just harmless. He sent her voice notes. He sent her photos. He called her baby. And the worst part? She replied. With heart emojis. With "I miss yous." With plans. Plans to see him again. Plans she made while she told me she was busy. Plans she made while she laid in my arms. I sat there, staring at the screen, my chest caving in. Not because I'd caught her, but because I still wanted to believe it wasn't what it looked like. Because I loved her, more than I should have, more than she ever loved me. And in that moment, I realized something that made my stomach turn. She knew I would never leave. She knew I'd forgive anything. She knew I'd stay. Because she made me feel like she was the only one who'd ever want me. She told me I was safe, but she'd build a world where only she could hurt me. And now, she was doing it slowly. I didn't sleep that night. I laid there next to her, staring at the ceiling, barely breathing. Her body curled toward me in the dark, legs tangled with mine like nothing was wrong. Like she hadn't carved holes into me while calling it love. The next morning, she kissed my cheek. "Morning, sleepyhead," she whispered with a smile that felt like poison now. I nodded, barely able to look at her. My insides were on fire. I kept hearing his voice in my head, reading the texts I saw. "You wore that tight little top for me, didn't you? God, I can't stop thinking about your body. Next time, I want you on top." And her replies? She wasn't just playing along. She was giving herself to him, like I never even existed. I started pulling away without meaning to. I flinched when she touched me. I gave half smiles when she told me she loved me. I started avoiding eye contact, like looking at her too long would break me completely. She noticed. Of course she did. "Is something wrong?" she asked one night as we walked back to her apartment. I wanted to scream. I wanted to grab her and shake her and ask, "How long have you been doing this to me?" But instead, I said, "Just tired. Finals are getting to me." She wrapped her arms around my waist and rested her head on my shoulder. "You can tell me anything, you know," she whispered. "Anything except that you've been fucking someone else behind my back," I thought. But I stayed quiet, because I still wasn't ready to let go. Because maybe, just maybe, there was an explanation. Or maybe I just didn't want to face the truth that she never loved me the way I loved her. One evening, I decided to test her. She told me she had a family dinner and wouldn't be free. So I drove past her street around 8 p.m. Her car wasn't in the driveway. The lights in her apartment were off. I sat there in my car, fists clenched on the steering wheel, fighting the urge to call her. But I didn't need to, because at 8:22 p.m., she sent me a photo of a dinner plate. Dad made his famous roast again drooling face. I stared at the image. It wasn't even her dad's table. I'd been to her house a dozen times. The table in that photo had a granite countertop. Her family had wood. That wasn't home. That wasn't even a real effort. It was a lie, sloppily wrapped and tossed at me like I wouldn't notice. And she was right. I didn't say anything, because I still didn't know how to say it. How to ask her without sounding paranoid. How to confront her without sounding broken. I felt like I was unraveling. Every memory became a question mark. Did she really love me when she said she did that night at the lake? Was she texting him while cuddling with me during movie nights? Was any of it ever real? I started spiraling. I checked her socials constantly. I looked for hints in every post, every like, every story. I became someone I didn't recognize. Suspicious, paranoid, quietly desperate. I hated myself, but I hated her more, because she made me feel safe. She made me feel like I could finally breathe again. And now she was slowly drowning me, one lie at a time. And then came the night that finally cracked me open. It was a Saturday. She told me she was heading out with her best friend Mia. Just a girls' night, she said with that same soft smile she always used when she wanted to disarm me. I waited until 11 p.m., then 12, then 1 a.m. No texts, no snaps, no check-ins, just silence. Around 1:30 a.m., I called her. No answer. Something inside me snapped. I opened my phone, found Mia's Instagram, and checked her story. She was home, with her boyfriend, watching Netflix and eating pizza. She posted a selfie with the caption, "Lazy night" in red heart. So Ava wasn't with Mia. She'd used her friend as a cover. Again, I don't know what came over me. I threw on a hoodie, grabbed my keys, and drove to the bar district. Something told me she was there. I didn't even know where to start. I just followed the noise, the crowds, the energy. And then I saw her, outside a bar, laughing, leaning into a guy's chest, Tyler. He had his arm wrapped around her waist, possessive, like she belonged to him. She looked up at him and smiled in a way she never smiled at me anymore. Then, she kissed him. Not a quick peck, not an accident. A full, open-mouth, hand-in-his-hair kiss. My heart collapsed, right there on the sidewalk. I felt like the air had been sucked out of the world. I stood there frozen, half in shock, half in denial. She didn't see me. Or maybe she did. Maybe she just didn't care anymore. And suddenly everything made sense. Every lie, every dodge, every fake smile. She told me I was safe, but she'd been holding the knife the entire time. I drove. I don't even remember where. I just know I drove until my hands stopped shaking. There's this kind of pain that doesn't come with tears. It comes with silence, with numbness, with staring blankly at a red light while your entire world feels like it's caving in. That was me. I finally stopped at some empty gas station. I parked, turned off the engine, and just sat there, staring, breathing, braking. I didn't even text her, didn't call, didn't ask why or how could you, because what was the point? I saw it. There was no salvaging anything now. She had chosen him in public, in front of the world, like I never mattered. I went home sometime around 3 a.m., and I finally cried. Hard, ugly, sobbing into my pillow, biting my knuckles to keep the noise down. The next morning, I didn't get out of bed. My phone buzzed a few times. I didn't check. But around noon, I forced myself to look. And there it was. Ava. Hey babe. Hope you slept okay, yellow heart. Girls' night got a little crazy, lol. Miss you already. That's when I knew she didn't see me last night. She had no idea I was there. No idea that her lies were done. I didn't respond. Not right away. I just stared at the messages like they were a joke. She was still pretending. Still playing the role of the loving girlfriend, even after kissing someone else just hours ago. By evening, she texted again. Ava, you okay? You've been quiet all day, pleading face. Did I do something? I could have ignored it. Could have ghosted her. But I wanted her to feel it. So I typed 2 words. I know. And I left it at that. The read receipt popped up in seconds. Then 3 dots. Then nothing. Then 3 dots again. She was typing, deleting, typing again. Finally. Ava, what do you mean? I didn't answer. She sent another message. Ava, babe, please talk to me. I don't know what you're talking about. Can we talk? Then another. Then she called. I didn't pick up. 10 minutes later, she was at my door, banging on it like a storm. Please, open the door. Let me explain, she begged. I stood in the hallway, staring at the doorknob. I could hear her voice cracking, could hear her sniffing between words. Fake tears, maybe. Or maybe she was sorry, just not sorry enough to stop before she destroyed me. Eventually, I opened it. She looked like a wreck. No makeup, hoodie, red eyes. Let me explain, she whispered. Explain what? I asked. My voice felt dead in my throat. She stepped inside like she still belonged there, like she still had the right. It wasn't what you think, she said quickly. I got drunk. I made a mistake. It was 1 kiss. I cut her off. I saw you laughing, smiling, holding him. That wasn't a mistake. That was a choice. Her face crumbled. She looked like she didn't know what to say. You've been lying to me for months, haven't you? I continued. Tyler, the texts, the lies about Mia. You weren't even trying to hide it well. She opened her mouth, but nothing came out. I trusted you, I said. My voice finally cracked. God, I trusted you with everything. You told me I was safe with you. I thought I meant it, she whispered. You thought. I laughed bitterly. You thought you meant it while screwing around with someone else? I didn't mean for it to happen. She snapped suddenly. He made me feel seen, okay? You've been so distant lately, so cold. And there it was. My fault. She was turning it around. So this is on me? I asked, stunned. No, she looked away. I felt like you didn't want me anymore. You pulled away first. I pulled away after I saw the messages, I said slowly. I didn't even confront you. I gave you the chance to be honest. And instead you lied. Over and over again. She stared at me. Then she started crying. The kind of crying that shakes your whole body. But I didn't move. Didn't comfort her. Didn't offer a tissue. Because I was the one who deserved to cry. And she had already dried me out. I'm sorry, she whispered. And maybe she was. But it didn't matter anymore. I'm done, I said. I want you to leave. And I don't want you coming back. She blinked like I'd slapped her. But no, I said firmly. Go. She didn't fight it. Didn't scream. Didn't beg. She just turned around and left. And I stood in the silence she left behind. The door clicked shut behind her. And that was it. I sank to the floor. And I didn't move. My body felt like lead. My chest hollow. My mind loud. Every memory, every smile, every "I love you." Every night we lay tangled in each other's arms, it all felt poison now. It all felt fake. It's a different kind of heartbreak when the person who promised to protect your heart is the one who shatters it. And Ava didn't just shatter it. She stomped on it, smiled while doing it, lied to my face while holding the pieces. I don't know how long I stayed there on the floor. Long enough for the light to change outside the windows. Long enough for my phone to buzz again. But this time, it wasn't her. It was Tyler. Tyler. Yo man, didn't know you were at the party. I didn't mean for you to see that. I didn't even know you guys were still together FR. I just stared at the screen. That smug, casual tone. Like it was some misunderstanding. Like it wasn't deliberate. Like he hadn't known what he was doing. Like he hadn't looked at me and won. He knew. He always knew. Tyler was the type of guy who didn't care who he hurt, as long as he got what he wanted. And what he wanted was her. Even if just for the thrill. Even if just to prove he could. He didn't even care about Ava. She was just a trophy. And I was the idiot who watched the whole game and still believed I was playing. I didn't respond to his message. What was the point? I muted both their numbers, deleted our photos, unfollowed her from everything. Not out of spite, but for survival. I needed to breathe, to feel human again. And every pixel of her face was choking me. The following days were a blur. Friends reached out. A few knew. Most didn't. My parents noticed I was quieter. I told them I was tired. They didn't push. But the thing is, when someone breaks you in that way, it's not just your heart that suffers. It's your sense of reality. It's your ability to trust. It's your reflection in the mirror. Because all I could think was, how did I not see it sooner? How did I let her fool me? Was I really that blind? But the truth is, I saw it. I just didn't want to believe it. Because when someone tells you over and over again that you're safe with them, you start to believe it. You want to. You need to. But the saddest part is, she probably believed it too, once. Until she didn't. I didn't sleep that night. Even with the door locked, even with the silence that followed her leaving, even with every light in the apartment turned on like it could burn away the memories, there was no peace. My mind wouldn't stop. Her voice echoed in my head like a cruel whispering tape loop. And every time I closed my eyes, I saw her eyes. Not the warm ones I used to love, but cold, unrecognizable, watching me break as if she'd been waiting for it. I lay on the couch, motionless, staring up at the ceiling fan spinning slow circles above me, wondering how the hell I'd gotten here. I kept reliving every moment, every laugh, every touch, every "I love you," and trying to match them to what she had become. Or maybe what she had always been. There were questions that wouldn't leave me alone. Was any of it real? Did she ever love me? Was I just convenient? The worst part wasn't the betrayal. It was the terrifying realization that I had no idea who she actually was. That I had built my entire world around a version of her that maybe never existed. And that broke something deep inside me. The next morning, the silence was unbearable. I didn't check my phone. I didn't want to see if she had texted me, or worse, if she hadn't. Instead, I opened my laptop. I opened a blank document and just started typing. I had no plan, no structure. I just spilled everything. All of it. The anger, the humiliation, the sadness, the memories. I wrote like I was bleeding it all out. I didn't care if it made sense. I just needed it out of me. Hours passed. When I stopped, my fingers were trembling and my eyes stung from staring too long. But I felt something. Not better, but lighter. Just a little. I got up, showered, dressed, and left the apartment for the first time in what felt like days. I didn't know where I was going. I just walked. Through the city, past familiar places that now felt foreign. Every bench, every cafe, every corner had some ghost of her in it. But I didn't stop. I just kept walking, like maybe if I walked far enough, I'd step out of the pain. I didn't, but I did find something else. I found clarity, or at least the start of it. It happened outside a small bookstore we used to go to together. I stopped at the window out of instinct, not even realizing where I was. And that's when I saw her. Not her, exactly, but a reflection, a memory, a flash of her laughing inside, holding a book open in one hand and her other hand on my arm. A perfect moment. It hit me like a truck. That moment was real. I remembered how she looked at me, how she smiled, how she touched me like I was hers. And yet, the same hands that touched me like that had also written the messages I found on her phone. The same mouth that told me, "I love you," had whispered, "You don't get to ask me that," like I was nothing. Both things couldn't be true. So which version of her was the truth? And which version of me had she loved, if any? That night, I wrote again. Not just memories this time, but truths. My truths. I listed everything I'd done for her. Every sacrifice. Every moment I had chosen her over myself. And I asked myself, for the first time, why? Why had I given so much to someone who treated my love like a disposable thing? The answer hurt. Because I believed her. Because I believed I was safe with her. Because when she held me and whispered, "You're the only one who gets me," I thought it meant something. But it didn't. At least, not to her. And admitting that, writing that down, felt like ripping out a piece of my own soul. But it also felt necessary. The next day, I got a text from her. Just one line. "Can we talk?" My stomach turned. My fingers hovered over the screen. Part of me still wanted to say yes. Still wanted an explanation. Still wanted to believe there was some version of her that I hadn't seen. Some broken little girl inside who'd made a mistake and needed to be forgiven. But the other part of me, the part that was finally learning to breathe without her, knew better. I didn't respond. The hours after her message were a war inside me. I kept checking my phone like an addict. Not to respond, at least not consciously, but just to see if she would text again. Part of me hated that I was still hoping for something more than silence. That tiny, pathetic voice in the back of my mind still whispered, "What if she's sorry? What if she finally understands?" But she didn't text again. That was her answer. She had tossed the grenade, watched it go off inside me, and then left me to bleed. I stared at that single message, "Can we talk?" like it was a puzzle I was supposed to solve. What did she want to say now, after everything? Would she apologize? Would she twist the knife deeper? Would she pretend none of it had happened? I didn't want to know. But the ache of not knowing was almost worse. That night, I cracked. I didn't message her, but I opened our old texts. Thousands of them. Photos. Voice notes. Videos. Memories lined up in pixels and timestamps, like evidence in a trial where I was both the prosecutor and the accused. And the thing that gutted me the most was how much I meant it. Every word, every emoji, every little heart I sent her. I loved her so fucking honestly. So completely. I was never pretending. I was never half-in. I was all hers. And she knew it. That was the part one couldn't forgive, not even her, but myself. I let someone see all of me, and she used it as leverage. By the third day of silence, something inside me shifted. I was still broken, still raw, but I wasn't drowning anymore. I was angry. Really, deeply angry. Not just at her, but at myself, at how blind I'd been, how easily I ignored the signs, how many times I gave her the benefit of the doubt when my gut was screaming at me to wake the hell up. Like that time she forgot to text me she'd be gone all night because she was with her sister, but later I saw a guy's jacket in the background of her Insta story. I convinced myself it was nothing. Or the way she'd turn her phone screen down every time we were together. Or how she never posted about me, not once in 2 years. "I just like to keep my relationship private," she said. It wasn't privacy. It was secrecy. And I let her sell it to me like it was care. No more. That weekend, I went through the apartment and boxed up everything that reminded me of her. Every photo, every gift, every piece of clothing she left behind. I even found a ring she used to wear that I'd gotten custom-made for her, with a stupid engraving on the inside, "Safe with you." I held it in my palm for a long time, just staring. Then I dropped it in the box and taped it shut. I didn't burn it. I didn't smash it. I just wanted it gone. That same day, I went to a cafe I'd never been to before, somewhere she had no memories in. I sat down, opened my laptop, and started rewriting my story. Not literally, just in my head. But it felt real. In my new story, I wasn't her victim anymore. I was a man who had loved honestly, been betrayed, and chosen to survive anyway. And something about owning that truth gave me more peace than she ever did. Later that night, she texted me again. "I miss you. Please say something." I stared at it for a while. Then I typed, "You don't get to say that. Not anymore." But I didn't send it. Instead, I turned off my phone. I finally slept that night. The next morning, I didn't even reach for my phone. That sounds small, but for me, it wasn't. For months, years, even checking messages from her was the first thing I did every single day. Her name lighting up my screen was a hit of dopamine. Her silence was withdrawal. But that day, I chose myself first. I took a walk instead. It was cold. The kind of cold that bites through your clothes and into your bones. But I welcomed it. I wanted to feel something honest. Something unfiltered. Something real. Every breath out turned into mist. and I watched it disappear into the air like the version of me that once loved her without question. Halfway through my walk, I passed the bookstore we used to go to, the one where she'd pretend to care about poetry and hold my hand between the aisles like we were in some indie movie. I used to think she loved those quiet moments. I thought they were special to her. Now I wondered if she was just playing a role. Was I her emotional support? Her fallback? Or just someone to keep her warm while she chased a life I never belonged to? I didn't go inside the bookstore. I just stood there for a moment, looking through the glass. And then I walked away. That night, I got another text. "I can't stop thinking about you. I didn't mean to hurt you." I didn't reply, but I wasn't angry this time. I just felt hollow, like her words couldn't reach me anymore. They were static on a dead frequency. Later, my phone buzzed again. It was a photo of us, one I hadn't seen in a long time. She must have found it in her old gallery, me with my arm around her, both of us grinning like idiots. We looked happy, and maybe, in that moment, we were. But the guy in the photo didn't know what was coming. I stared at that picture for a long time, and then I deleted it. I didn't need memories that lied to me. The next few days were quiet. I kept expecting her to show up at my door, dramatic and apologetic, begging me to hear her out. She didn't. Maybe she knew I wouldn't open the door. Or maybe, more likely, she never wanted to fix things. She just wanted to feel like she could still pull my strings. She wanted to make sure I was still hers, even if she didn't want me. The truth landed heavy in my chest. She didn't love me. Not really. She loved being loved by me. There's a difference. And once I stopped giving her that attention, once I stopped orbiting her world, she panicked. Not because she missed me, but because she missed the version of herself she could see reflected in my eyes. And I wasn't going to be her mirror anymore. So I made a decision. I blocked her. Everywhere. Not out of spite. Not out of rage. Out of necessity. Because healing isn't about waiting for an apology. It's about choosing yourself, even when no one else will. Even when the person you love walks away without looking back. Even when they promise you you're safe and then leave you in the wreckage of their lies. I deserved more. I still do. And for the first time in months, I didn't feel broken for saying that. I felt free. Weeks passed. I'd like to say I bounced back fast. That I hit the gym, traveled, found someone new. But the truth? I just existed for a while. I slept. I ate. I worked. I avoided places that reminded me of her, which was nearly everywhere. I found solace in podcasts and music that didn't make me think of her voice, and in long showers that washed off memories that clung to me like smoke. But there was no dramatic moment of healing. No phoenix from the ashes rise. Just little things. Like when I stopped flinching every time my phone vibrated. Or when I could hear her name without tasting bile in my throat. Or the first time I laughed, really laughed, at something that had nothing to do with her. The healing came in waves. Sometimes I missed her so bad it felt like my lungs stopped working. Other times I was angry, furious, that someone could lie so effortlessly and still pretend to care. But most of the time, I just felt the slow, strange quiet that comes when a storm finally passes. One day, out of nowhere, I saw her. She was across the street, with him, laughing. Her hair was different. She had a new bag, new jacket, new everything. She looked happy, and seeing her didn't destroy me. Not anymore. I didn't look away. I didn't run. I didn't sink into the sidewalk. I just watched. Watched the girl who once whispered that she loved me while holding hands under streetlights now doing the same with someone else. And I realized something. She was always going to do that. Not because of who I was, but because of who she is. She thrives on intensity, on newness, on attention. She uses vulnerability like currency and intimacy like a weapon. She doesn't love deeply. She performs love like it's a scene in a play. And I was just her favorite audience, for a while. So I turned around and walked away. Not out of pain, but peace. A few months later, I started writing again. Not to process her, but to reclaim me. The version of me that existed before her. The one who still believed in love, but who had now learned to set boundaries. To trust slowly. To see red flags and not romanticize them as passion. I learned that someone saying you're safe means nothing if they're the ones holding the knife. And the real safety, the only kind that matters, comes from knowing you'll be okay even if they leave. I still carry the scars. I probably always will. But I also carry the lesson. She told me I was safe. But in the end, I had to save myself. And now, I finally have. The end.